Hey all, and welcome to my vlog. My name is Erin, and this is World Building 2.0, the physical world. This new world building series will cover some of the same topics as the original, but will be updated to include new information, get reorganized, and hopefully be a little more helpful. So your physical world is going to include your geography, your climate, your ecology, and your architecture. What does climate and geography affect? The short answer is everything. Every aspect of life is dictated by the weather, by the landscape, and by the resources available. What your characters wear, eat, do, what their homes look like is all influenced by where they live. People who live in the depths of the jungle are going to have a wildly different experience than people who live on temperate plains. You have to take this all into consideration when you're choosing the type of world that you want to write for your story. I highly recommend that once you choose the base climate and geography for your world, that you do some research about which cultures developed in our world along similar areas and climates. Number 1 is climate basics. Climate is going to affect pretty much all aspects of life exactly the way it does for you now. Think about where you live and how your day-to-day climate affects what you do. You can even figure out one aspect that's affected by climate and build your selection around that. Say you want a particular clothing style. You can choose that first if that's what inspires you for this story, and build your climate and geography around that. Number 2 is climate as a plot device. Climate events are easily capable of spurring panic and creating desperate situations. It doesn't even have to be anything huge. Consider what happens in an area that rarely gets snow and suddenly they have an inch overnight. The weather can be a plot force for chaos. If you want to go bigger, then you have the option of introducing natural disasters. Those can completely incapacitate regions. Famines and disasters can and have historically pushed people to war. It is a fight for resources and survival. Empires have collapsed due to an inability to feed their people from prolonged drought. You can use the weather to your advantage and create hardship and upheaval for your world and your characters. If you want to prompt a mass migration, political collapse, abandonment of cities, then the effects of the climate are going to make it really easy for you. Number 3, geography basics. Geography is another thing that's going to affect your day-to-day life. Cities form near water sources, and roads and trade routes are built around the terrain. It also has a huge effect on the climate. A good example of this is when mountains produce the rain shadow effect and create deserts. The very basic points of geography are not difficult to find, and you only really need to follow the big rules with it. Most people are not going to know enough to contradict any decisions that you make. If you have a map, your choices are going to be front and center for the reader. But if there's no map, then it'll be much more difficult to pinpoint potential issues. That being said, I personally love maps with fantasy stories, so I don't recommend skipping them if you're just worried about people noticing mistakes. The geography of your world can tell a rich and detailed story, and will give clues to the history that you're building. Number 4, geography as a plot device. Geography is definitely going to influence the political situations of your world. It determines how isolated regions are, whether resources are scarce, and whether trade and travel is possible. If you have a journey in your story, it is going to influence how and where and when your characters are able to get places. It's also going to impact their safety. If they're out on the flat steppes, people for miles around are going to be able to see their campfire. Or if they're traveling through a craggy canyon, that is lots of places for bandits and other foes to hide. Think about the challenges and benefits to different geographical regions based on how you want your story to progress. Number 5, ecology basics. Flora and fauna are going to be covering all of the living things in your world. Everything your characters eat, what they use for medicine, what they wear, what animals they keep, and for what purposes. Think about your relationships to plants and animals, and you will understand how integrated this is. This will be expanded on more as we delve into culture, but that will be a later video. Number 6, ecology as a plot device. The presence or absence of a plant or animal can be a plot catalyst. Maybe that's an omen that spurs your story into action. Not having something when you need it is going to cause hardship, and that is very easy to do if you're messing with their plants and animals. Also, it can be convenient if you need to escape and oh look, there's a horse or a dragon or some kind of animal that is going to get your characters out of this situation. Poisons are also the weapon of choice for a lot of shadow rulers and assassins, so if you need to get some political intrigue stirred up, that's a really easy option. Number 7, architecture. Architecture is going to be heavily influenced by the climate and geography. Maybe your society is like Alderaan and it builds in such a way as to cause minimal disturbance to the landscape. Maybe they don't care at all and they demolish everything around them in pursuit of space to build their cities. Some really neat real-world examples of how people have built to their environment is Mesa Verde in Colorado and Cappadocia in Turkey. Do the people that you're developing value the natural world? Why or why not? What impact do they have on their environment? How settlements are built and how resources are used is going to give you a really good idea of what that society values. You can also consider heating and cooling depending on the climate you've developed and what your homes are going to be made of. A good way to figure this out is to just look at what traditional housing is made of in a similar climate as the one you're working with. Remember that technology levels will affect this, but the Romans had heated floors and the ancient Persians figured out natural air conditioning with their wind catchers. So you have some flexibility. Number 8, magic. If you want to make things interesting in a way that the natural world won't allow, feel free to mix in magic. Impassable paths, cursed areas that never stop storming, mythical creatures like Scylla and Charybdis. If you are deep into fantasy, you will have lots of opportunities to mix magic into the physical world. It's a really easy way to make things difficult for your characters. There will be differences, of course, depending on whether your characters live in the city or out in the country, whether they are nomads or have a sedentary society. You have so many exciting things to discover when it comes to designing your world and your cultures. Remember how interconnected all of these pieces are, and how changes to one can create huge changes to others. It will give you the tools both to create a believable world and to drive your plot along. Use the physical world to your advantage. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. If you'd like to be notified as soon as I upload, then ring that bell. All my social media links will be in the description below. Both of my books, Olympian Confessions Hades and Persephone and Olympian Confessions Hera, are available now in ebook and paperback. If you would like your manuscript critiqued by me, you can check out my new critique service. Links to all of those will be on my website below. I will see you all next week with another video. Bye!